In this video, I'm going to show you how to complete the PowerPoint Guided Project 3-1. But before we begin, I'd like to talk about the resources that you'll need for this project. When you were instructed to download the instructions and the start file is what you see right here. You should have also been instructed to download what's called the resource bundle, and that contains a file that you'll need in step 3. So if you need help learning how to extract files from the resource bundle, the place that you can go is if you head over to the project main page and then click the question mark in the upper right hand portion of the screen, you'll come to the help area, select SimNet Instant Help, then select projects because this is a project, and there's lots of information that can help you. What you're going to look for is an area called extracting resource files. There's a set of instructions and a short video that can show you how to extract the files and get them ready for use. Let me show you how I do it on my computer, but please be mindful that your computer or device may be set up differently, so you may have to use these resources to get that file ready for use. I'm going to head back over to the project main page, and when I use the download wizard, since I'm using Chrome, all of my files are displayed in the lower left hand portion of the screen, and they're also placed in what's called the downloads folder. Now please be mindful that depending on the browser or device you're using, your downloads may go somewhere else. For me, what I do is I need to head over to where these files were downloaded on my computer, and I know it's in the downloads folder, and I'm just going to sort by today's date to narrow it down. And you should see a folder with a zipper across it. That means that it's a zipped up resource and you need to extract or prepare that folder so you can get the files. On my PC, what I need to do is hover over that particular folder, right click, then click Extract All. And when I do that, then it says, where do you want these extracted files to go? You can put them anywhere. A lot of times I just put them right back into the same place, but you can put them in anywhere that you can save information on your computer. Then you need to click Extract. Since I've done this a few times today, it's going to ask me if I want to rewrite it, but you won't have to do that step since you've only done it once. You also won't see replace this file in the destination. So once you click extract, those files will be ready for you when you're completing this project. So let's head back over to the project and begin with step 1. Step 1 has us open the start file, and we've done that already. If you see a yellow bar across the top and there's a button that says enable editing, if you double click it, it will get your file ready for editing, and now you can work with this particular presentation. And that completes step 1. Step 2. It says the file will be automatically renamed to include your name. This is the time to change your project file name if you're instructed to do so by your instructor. However, if they tell you not to do anything, then you don't have to do anything for step 2. But if they do tell you to change the name, this is the time to do it. And that completes step 2. Step 3. We need to apply a background picture fill. So step 3A, and please note before I go any further that I have a printed copy of the instructions, and by doing that it makes it so much easier to cross off items as I complete them. Do you have to have a printed copy? No, but does it make it easier to make sure that you get everything done correctly? Yes, it certainly does. So I suggest you printing off a copy of the instructions if possible. So let's start with 3A. It says display slide 1, and we are on slide 1 right now. And then anywhere in the background, if I right click, I can see choices, and one of the choices says format background. And that completes step 3A. 3B says select the picture or text fill option. And that's over here. That's 3B. Step 3C, it says select the file button. And this is where you need to get that file that was extracted from the folder. So wherever you put that information, you should see, if you have the thumbnails view, you should see a little picture of this particular image, and it says building-03.jpg, JPG, that's a JPEG file. I select it, click insert, and now it becomes the background for this particular slide, which is pretty neat. And that completes through step 3D. Next, we need to click the picture button, which is up here in the format background pane. Then we need to hit picture color. We're going to change the color of this. Then we need to select recolor. There's a drop down list on the right hand side. There's a lot of choices. Make sure you get the right choice. It's blue accent 2 to dark. Please check the instructions and make sure you get this one right. It's easy to select something that looks very similar. Lastly, we need to click apply to all. Towards the bottom portion of the screen in the right, it says apply to all. It's easy to miss this button because you start looking elsewhere. It's in the bottom right hand portion of the screen. Click apply to all, and you can see it applies to all the slides. And now you've successfully completed step 3. Step 4, we're going to restore the background pictures on 2 of the slides. So we're going to display slide 1. If for some reason you clicked off it, that's fine. Just make sure you're on slide 1. And by the way, if for some reason this format background pane is gone, let's X out of it. You could simply come back over the picture, right click, and it'll get back to normal. So we need to, under the background pane, we need to select picture color. And that is over here, picture color. Click on picture and then color, and then one of the choices says resets. We click reset and it goes back to its original color. Now be sure that you do this on slide 2 as well. Click on slide 2, make sure it's on picture, click reset, and now you've reset it for just slides 1 and 2. And that completes step 4. Step 5. We need to prepare a black slide so the speaker can talk. Now, please note, this is a great idea if you're ever going to do a presentation that you have a blank or black slide in there, because sometimes if there's information on the screen, it can be confusing and it'll distract people, and sometimes you want people to focus on you. So having a black or blank slide in there is a good idea. So we're going to head down to slide 6. And once again, I'm checking off each item as I complete it. And on the format background pane, I need to select the fill button. Looks like a little paint can. And then select solid fill. And on my computer, it's a little bit gray. I don't know what it looks like on your computer and screen, but we need to make sure that it's black background 1. So there's a little color option. It's most likely the first black choice, but make sure you select black background 1. You can see it's completely black now. And then it says close the format background pane. Little X in the upper right. Being careful not to X out of the entire presentation, just the format pane. And that completes step 5. Step 6. It says apply a transition to all the slides. So we're going to head up to the Transitions tab. Now be very cautious. If you click on the Animations tab, it actually looks very similar, and this can be confusing. Make sure you're on the Transitions tab. And then we need to apply the shape transition. And if for some reason it doesn't appear right here, you can click the little More button in the lower right-hand portion and select all the slides. But on mine, it says shape appears right here, so I click on it. To the right of all of these different transitions is effect options. If I click on it, there are choices. And I select diamond, which is a pretty cool pattern. Moving further to the right, I see in the timings area, apply to all. I apply to all, and now you'll have transitions between all of your slides. And that completes step 6. Step 7, we're going to apply an animation effect to a bunch of different items on your PowerPoint presentation. Now this is very important. There's 2 things that are very important. Make sure you switch over to the Animations tab, number 1, and then please be mindful on step 7C, they're going to ask you to put a particular effect option. When you do this, you actually have to go back in and click it a second time, depending on how your computer is set up. Sometimes the effect doesn't take hold. Stay with me, and when you get to 7C and the effects options area, I want to make sure that you get that right. I'll do it on my screen and make sure you do the same thing that I do. Now, in step 7, there are a series of steps you have to do for each particular slide. So the best way to start this is to looking at the table. It says slide 1. I'm going to click on slide 1, and that's the first column there, slide 1. And then the second column is the object column. And what it's telling you to do is select on whatever object they tell you. In this case, click on the text box for the agenda. This is the agenda text box. And I just need to select it once. I click in here once. For some reason you didn't get that right, you can click back out of it and click back in. And you know it's selected because there'll be the dots on the outside. We need to now choose the animation effect wipe. And look for it up here. If you can't see it, you can use the more button, but I can see it right up there. Next, we need to go to the next column over. It says from bottom by paragraph. That's in the effects option area. If I click on it, I choose from bottom, which it may already be on. I click the effects options again, and then I choose by paragraph. Moving further over to the right, in the timing area, we need to select on click, and it defaults on click, so there's nothing to do here. And then the duration has to be 0.5. My computer is set up to have 0.5 as the duration, but if yours wasn't, you can change the timing right now. But mine is, so there's nothing to do there. Moving on to what's called 7C, we need to be on slide 3. I want to go through this rather quickly. Click on the picture, click on the shape button, and maybe I'll slow down so you can follow along. This is the option that sometimes can go a little bit awry. If I click on effect options, it says click on out. That's not a problem, right? You can see how it goes out. Then click on the diamond pattern. But now see how the diamond goes back in? For some reason, it changes the selection to in. You need to make sure it's on out. So if you click out one more time, it'll be a diamond pattern that'll look like it's expanding out. And now you'll be sure to get that correct when you go to grade. The next column says after previous. So click that little drop down button and click after previous. And then the duration is 2 minutes. There's nothing for me to do, but if yours was somewhat different than 2 minutes, you can change that now. For my particular screen, I don't have to do anything. So I'm going to move on to 7D. I select slide 7. Click on the text box that talks about space design. Just click it once. Click on the zoom entrance feature. Clicking on effects options, object center, object, as one object is your choice. On click, it defaults to on click, and 0.5, so that's perfect. Continuing on slide 7, we need to select the text box that says wireless access. Then we need to put in the zoom effect, object center, as one object, on click, which it defaults to, and the timing is 0.5. Nothing for me to do up here. Moving on to step 7F. We need to click on slide 8. Then select the text box with donor names. And we do that there. I'm just checking off each item as I complete it. We need the wipe entrance effect. We look up here and we can find the wipe entrance effect. Effect options from bottom. All at once. This is where we have to select after previous. And on my computer, I need to bump this up to 1. So if yours said 0.5, you'd need to bump it up to 1. And if you followed along with me, you should have everything correct. And that completes step 7. In step 8, we're going to do a little bit of practicing with the navigation tools and the keyboard shortcuts. So I am on slide 1. I selected slide 1, and there's a couple different ways that you can get to the slideshow. You can click on the slideshow tab up here, but in this case I'm going to come down here to the status bar, and there's a little, it looks like a little lectern or podium, and it's down here in the lower right hand portion of the screen, and I'm going to click on it, and that's slideshow, and it's going to put us in slideshow view. Now please note that on the video you may not see this correctly. I'm going to try to make sure that you can see what I'm seeing on the screen. But if you can't see my screen completely, if you hover down to the lower left hand portion of the screen, there are little navigation tools down here. There's a previous button and a next button. You can draw on it. There's a little edit button, and you can show all the slides. So I'm going to click on the right arrow, and it's just going to continually toggle to the next item. And when it goes through this particular slide, it'll move on to the next slide. So you can play with that. When you're done playing with the next and previous buttons, click on the button that says View All Slides or See All Slides. It should have 3 little squares on it and then a bigger square. And once again, all this is found in the lower left-hand portion of your screen when you're in the slideshow view, and hopefully this shows up on video. But when I click that, I can see all the slides, and I can click on any specific thumbnail and go to it, which is a nice way to navigate around. So the other thing that I can do just on any random slide, I could right click, I can click zoom in, and it'll zoom in anywhere I like, and you can focus on that area. Hopefully this shows up on video. If not, just right click and you should see zoom in. And then I can right click and see all slides. If I hit escape, it'll get back out, just so you know. I'm going to click back into the slideshow view. I could right click and zoom out if I like. And another neat feature, once again, and hopefully you can see what I'm seeing on the screen, is if you press N, it'll move to the next slide. If you press P, it'll move to the previous item or the previous slide. So that's a good way to navigate around. If you type a number in, let's say 5, it means slide 5, it'll instantly jump to that particular slide. So another good way to move around. A feature that not many people know about is this idea of blanking out a screen. If you press the letter B, it'll completely darken or black out the screen. If you press it again, it'll head back out so you can see everything. When you're all done playing around, if you press the escape button, you'll get back out to the edit view. And that completes step 8. In step 9, we are going to practice with the speaker notes. So let's make sure we are on slide 1. If you're not, click on slide 1. And then down here, well, there's a couple different ways to do it, but in the slideshow view right here, you can, or I should say the view tab, get on the view tab, click on the notes page. And since this is rather small, this is step 9A. On step 9B, in the lower right hand corner, we're going to click the plus button until we get up to the zooming feature that's 150. It makes it nice and big so we can see it and work with it. So once you've been there, step 9C tells us to put in the following information. And there's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing that we're going to do here. On slide 1, I'm going to type in exactly what I see. Welcome the audience. Then I'm going to press the enter key and the enter key one more time. We need to have 2 lines or a line or space in between this. Next, I'm going to click review. I'm going to type in review. 2 days agenda. And pay attention here, folks. It wants us to put in a special type of dash. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key. And if you're on a Mac, I'm not sure what the button is. You're going to have to find that out. But on a PC, I'm going to hold down the Alt button. And then using the numbers key, if I type in 0151, a dash should appear once I release the Alt button. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you're going to have to ask your instructor how to get that dash to be put in there, that special type of dash. But it works on my computer just fine. And I'm going to continue typing in the text. Once I'm done typing in the information, there's a couple different ways to navigate to slide 5. On the right hand side, I'm going to use the vertical slider, and I'm going to navigate down the slide 5. And if you don't know what slide 5 is, you can see the page number or the slide number in the lower left hand portion of your screen. In the lower right hand or left hand portion, it says notes 5 of 9. So I am on the right slide right here. Then I'm going to type in exactly what I see in the instructions. Being sure that I spell everything correctly. Hitting the enter key and then hitting it again so I have a space between each set. Looks pretty good so far. Making sure your spelling is done correctly. And I'm going to take a quick look and make sure that it looks good. Make one slight correction here. And the spelling looks correct. So then, a couple different ways to get back out to the normal view. But if you're on the View tab up here, if I click Normal, it'll take me out to the normal view. And that completes step 9. Step 10. We're going to print the notes page for slides 4 and 5. And please note that you don't actually have to follow through with the printing unless your instructor tells you to do so. So that's only mandatory to actually print it if your instructor tells you to do so, but you do have to do the steps to get it prepared. So I'm clicking on the File tab, Print, and we'll just go through here step by step. That's 10A. 10B says select the appropriate printer. And you may not have a printer, but if you did, this is the area where you'd select the printer. Then you'd come down to 10C, where it says print all slides. Or you can print a custom slide range. So I click custom range, and then I type in 4-5. Next, for the layout, a couple different choices here. I'm going to print out the notes pages. And I want to make sure, let me click back on that. I'm going to make sure to scale to fit paper is selected. And once again, I'm just crossing off each item as I go through so I don't miss anything. And then step E says to click print only if you're instructed to do so, but once again, you're not going to be marked wrong if you don't print it unless your instructor tells you to print it at this stage. And that completes step 10. Step 11, we're going to rehearse and save the timings. So in the slideshow tab, I'm going to get back out. In the slideshow tab up here, we need to click the rehearse timings button. And you can see it right here. And it's asking us to click on the next slide and animation every 3 to 5 seconds. So I'm going to toggle through it a little bit more quickly. I am pressing the next button. You can hit enter. There's a couple different ways you can get to the next slide. You can hit the right arrow. You can hit the down arrow. I'm going to go through here quicker than you should probably do it, but it's saying to do it about every 3 to 5 seconds. When you get through the entire section, you'll get a pop-up and click yes that you do want to save the new slide timings. And that will complete step 11. In step 12, we're going to use the presenter view to view your presentation. Now, please note, this can get a little bit tricky if you have two monitors set up. It's designed so an instructor or a presenter can see their screen. They can see it one way in presenter view, but then the audience will see just the set of slides for themselves. So they won't be able to see the presenter view. I'm going to set it so I can see. Hopefully the video will show that you can see what I'm seeing, the presenter view. So let's give that a shot. We're going to head up. We're going to use the slideshow tab up here in the slideshow tab. We're going to make sure we deselect the use timings button. And then we're going to click use presenter view. Make sure that that is selected up there. And now we're going to click from the beginning. So I'm just going to advance to the next slide, clicking the right arrow so I can see what's going on. I'm going to click on the zoom button, which is a magnifying glass. And you can highlight anywhere that you want to magnify. Select it. Then I can hit the zoom button again, the magnifying glass, to zoom back out. I'm going to click to see all slides. Hopefully you can see this on your screen. There's 3 little squares and then a bigger square in the lower right hand portion. Should be able to see all the slides. You can click any of the slides if you'd like to see them individually. And when you're done with this, you're going to press escape. And escape again. You may have to press it twice to get back out here to the editing view. And that completes step 12. Step 13 has you save and close the presentation. Step 14 has you upload and save your project file into SimNet. And finally, step 15, you'll submit your project for grading. Best of luck, everybody.